Reggae is a music genre that originated in Jamaica during the late 1960s. The term also denotes the modern popular music of Jamaica and its diaspora. A 1968 single by Toots and the Maytals, Do the Reggae, was the first popular song to use the word reggae, effectively naming the genre and introducing it to a global audience. Reggae is rooted out from traditional Jamaican kumina, pukumina, revival Zion, nyabingi, and burra drumming. Jamaican reggae music evolved out of the earlier genres minto, ska, and rocksteady. Reggae usually relates news, social gossip, and political commentary. It is instantly recognizable from the counterpoint between the bass and drum downbeat and the offbeat rhythm section. Reggae's direct origins are in the ska and rocksteady of 1960s Jamaica, strongly influenced by traditional Caribbean minto and calypso music, as well as American jazz and rhythm and blues. Ska was originally a generic title for Jamaican music recorded between 1961 and 1967 and emerged from Jamaican R&B, which was based largely on American R&B and doo-wop. Rastafari entered some countries primarily through reggae music. Thus, the movement in these places is more stamped by its origins in reggae music and social milieu. One of the predecessors of reggae drumming is the nyabingi rhythm, a style of ritual drumming performed as a communal meditative practice in the Rastafarian life. In the latter half of the 20th century, phonograph records became of central importance to the Jamaican music industry, playing a significant cultural and economic role in the development of reggae music. In the early 1950s, Jamaican entrepreneurs began issuing 78s 34. But this format would soon be superseded by the 7 single, first released in 1949. In 1951, the first recordings of minto music were released as singles and showcased two styles of minto, an acoustic rural style and a jazzy pop style. Other 7-inch singles to appear in Jamaica around this time were covers of popular American R&B hits, made by Kingston sound system operators to be played at public dances. Meanwhile, Jamaican expatriates started issuing 45s on small independent labels in the United Kingdom, many mastered directly from Jamaican 45s. Ska arose in Jamaican studios in the late 1950s, developing from this mix of American R&B, minto, and calypso music. Notable for its jazz-influenced horn riffs, ska is characterized by a quarter-note walking bass line, guitar and piano offbeats, and a drum pattern with cross-stick snare and bass drum on the backbeat and open hi-hat on the offbeats. When Jamaica gained independence in 1962, ska became the music of choice for young Jamaicans seeking music that was their own. Ska also became popular among mods in Britain. In the mid-1960s, ska gave rise to rocksteady, a genre slower than ska featuring more romantic lyrics and less prominent horns. Theories abound as to why Jamaican musicians slowed the ska tempo to create rocksteady. One is that the singer Hopton Lewis was unable to sing his hit song, Take It Easy, at a ska tempo. The name, rocksteady, was codified after the release of a single by Alton Ellis. Many rocksteady rhythms later were used as the basis of reggae recordings, whose slower tempos allowed for the double skank guitar strokes on the offbeat. Reggae developed from ska and rocksteady in the late 1960s. Larry and Alvin's Nanny Goat and the Belltones' No More Heartaches were among the songs in the genre. The beat was distinctive from rocksteady in that it dropped any of the pretensions to the smooth, soulful sound that characterized slick American R&B and instead was closer in kinship to U.S. Southern funk, being heavily dependent on the rhythm section to drive it along. Reggae's great advantage was its almost limitless flexibility. From the early, jerky sound of Lee Perry's People Funny Boy to the uptown sounds of Third World's Now That We've Found Love. It was an enormous leap through the years and styles, yet both are instantly recognizable as reggae. Early 1968 was when the first bona fide reggae records were released, Nanny Goat by Larry Marshall and No More Heartaches by the Belltones. That same year, the newest Jamaican sound began to spawn big-name imitators in other countries. The shift from rocksteady to reggae was illustrated by the organ shuffle pioneered by Jamaican musicians like Jackie Mittoo and Winston Wright and featured in transitional singles Say What You're Saying, 1968, by Eric Monty Morris and People Funny Boy, 1968, by Lee Scratch Perry. American artist Johnny Nash's 1968 hit, Hold Me Tight, has been credited with first putting reggae in the American listener charts. Around the same time, Reggae influences were starting to surface in rock and pop music. One example is 1968's Obladi, Oblada by the Beatles. Over a dozen Wailers songs are based on or use a line from Jamaican Minto songs. Other significant ska artists who made the leap to reggae include Prince Buster, Desmond Dekker, Ken Booth, and Millie Small, best known for her 1964 Blue Beat/ska cover version of My Boy Lollipop, which was a smash hit internationally. Notable Jamaican producers influential in the development of ska into rocksteady and reggae include Coxsone Dodd, Lee Scratch Perry, Leslie Kong, Duke Reed, Joe Gibbs, and King Tubby. Chris Blackwell, who founded Island Records in Jamaica in 1960, relocated to England in 1962, where he continued to promote Jamaican music. He formed a partnership with Lee Gopthal's Trojan Records in 1968, which released reggae in the UK until bought by Saga Records in 1974. Reggae's influence bubbled to the top of the US Billboard Hot 100 charts in late 1972. First, Three Dog Night hit #1 in September with a cover of the Maytons' version of Black and White. Then Johnny Nash was at #1 for 4 weeks in November with I Can See Clearly Now. Paul Simon's single, Mother and Child Reunion, a track which he recorded in Kingston, Jamaica with Jimmy Cliff's backing group, was ranked by Billboard as the number 57 song of 1972. In 1973, the film The Harder They Come starring Jimmy Cliff was released and introduced Jamaican music to cinema audiences outside Jamaica. Though the film achieved cult status, its limited appeal meant that it had a smaller impact than Eric Clapton's 1974 cover of Bob Marley's I Shot the Sheriff, which made it onto the playlists of mainstream rock and pop radio stations worldwide. Clapton's I Shot the Sheriff used modern rock production and recording techniques and faithfully retained most of the original reggae elements. It was a breakthrough pastiche devoid of any parody and played an important part in bringing the music of Bob Marley to a wider rock audience. By the mid-1970s, authentic reggae dubplates and specials were getting some exposure in the UK on John Peel's radio show, who promoted the genre for the rest of his career. Around the same time, British filmmaker Jeremy Marr documented the Jamaican music scene in roots rock reggae, capturing the heyday of roots reggae. While the quality of reggae records produced in Jamaica took a turn for the worse following the oil crisis of the 1970s, reggae produced elsewhere began to flourish. In the late 1970s and early 1980s, the UK punk rock scene flourished, and reggae was a notable influence. The DJ Don Letts would play reggae and punk tracks at clubs such as the Roxy. Punk bands such as The Clash, The Ruts, The Members, and The Slits played many reggae-influenced songs. Around the same time, reggae music took a new path in the UK, one that was created by the multiracial makeup of England's inner cities and exemplified by groups like Steel Pulse, Aswad, and UB40, as well as artists such as Smiley Culture and Carol Thompson. The Jamaican ghetto themes in the lyrics were replaced with UK inner-city themes, and Jamaican patois became intermingled with Cockney slang. In South London around this time, a new subgenre of lovers rock was being created. Unlike the Jamaican music of the same name, which was mainly dominated by male artists such as Gregory Isaacs, the South London genre was led by female singers like Thompson and Janet Kay. The UK lovers rock had a softer and more commercial sound. Other reggae artists who enjoyed international appeal in the early 1980s include Third World, Black Uhuru, and Sugar Minott. The Grammy Awards introduced the Grammy Award for Best Reggae Album category in 1985. Women also play a role in the reggae music industry. Personnel such as Olivia Grange, president of Spec Shong Music, Trish Farrell, president of Island/Jamaica, Lisa Cortez, president of Loose Cannon, Jamaican-American Sharon Gordon, who has worked in the independent reggae music industry. Subscribe for more videos.